Hello, Red Wave. Happy Thanksgiving and welcome to Beware of Bulldogs podcast. Caleb and Caleb are here to break down the Fresno State, San Diego State battle for the oil can this Saturday. We're going to preview it all. We got keys to the game. What's going to make us sweat? What's going to make us dance? Because the CNC Football Factory is here to talk Fresno State football. We also got final score predictions, and we're going to talk a little bit about San Diego State and what we can expect from them. But first, Mr. Pletz, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. It's been a good week so far. Ego is on the mend after back-to-back losses by the Fresno State football team. But yeah, it's good. I love Thanksgiving. I love Thanksgiving food. So it's going to be a good week regardless, and hopefully Dogs can finish strong with a victory here against a pretty poor San Diego State team. So I think it's setting up nicely to where we can, but definitely go back and listen to our get to know episode. I think one of the keys is just going to be who wants it more. And so we'll get into keys later, but overall good week. Looking forward to Thanksgiving.
I'm with you, man. Thanksgiving week is a great week. Lots of football. We had back-to-back days of Fresno State basketball, but I mean, this, as we speak, JMU is just destroying us. It's bad. And I hate to say it, but we were talking before, and JMU was a 5-point favorite. And if we were betting men, might have put a little money on that one. I
think so. I mean, Fresno State looked pretty good in the New Mexico State game. They hit some threes, so that's going to help. And when you don't make shots, it's going to be tough to win a game.
Yeah, you could check out the recap of the Cancun Challenge. That will be out as well, probably a little bit after this one. So it's probably out right now. So at Thanksgiving and Black Friday, you get a healthy dose, because it's got to be healthy after Thanksgiving. A healthy dose of Fresno State, or I should say, of Beware of Bulldogs podcast. So it should be a lot of fun. Okay, let's get to San Diego State and what we know about this San Diego State team. What we know right now is that they're in last place. They have 3 wins on the season. They're 3-8, but we can't say too much because we just lost to the last place team, the former last place team in the Mountain West, New Mexico. But their 3 wins are against Ohio, first week of the season, Idaho State, FCS school, and then their one conference win is a win over Hawaii, and Hawaii's not good. They're on a 4-game losing streak. They lost 6-0 against Nevada. They lost to Utah State in overtime. They lost a 3-point game to Colorado State, and then they lost a close one to San Jose State. I mean, 9 points. They were down by 7 at one point in that game. I think they were down by 4 at one point in that game. So a close one to San Jose State. They also lost to Air Force, Boise, Oregon State, and UCLA. So tough 4-game stretch right there too. That was earlier in the season, but. Looking at their schedule, Caleb, and we've seen a little bit of them, not a whole lot. I don't go out of my way to watch the Aztecs play. But from what you've seen and the schedule, what are your thoughts about the San Diego State team?
Well, definitely a disappointing year and a season where San Diego State's kind of lost their identity, I think, at least, as an outsider looking in, where you expect San Diego State to run the ball and run it well and also play really strong defense. And at least offensively, they really have not done that. And their defense has not been able to keep up with Mountain West offenses. So overall, really uncharacteristic for a San Diego State team who, typically we'd expect to be, towards the top of the conference and competing for an opportunity to play in the conference championship game. So really strange. And, maybe it was time for Coach Hoke to step down I don't know. That kind of seemed like maybe he's doing the program a favor by retiring and instead of making them fire him. I don't know if they they're obviously they're on good terms where they were able to agree to that. So we'll see what happens with the new San Diego State, and I would expect a clean house of coordinators. I don't think Ryan Lindley's really doing the job there. So yeah, really interesting. Just kind of watching this team from the outside. They got the new stadium, and there was a lot of hype at the beginning of the year with maybe going to a different conference. So Fresno State should beat this team, but based off of the last 2 weeks, I don't know if we can say that confidently, just because San Diego State does have capable running backs and they have a quarterback that's dangerous. And if they're able to run the ball, I think they could control the time of possession and control the game.
On paper, Maiden should not be able to beat us through the air. On paper. We'll see what happens. That doesn't mean anything, but we'll see what happens. We'll talk keys to the game and what I think about all of that in a second. But yeah, I don't know where to go yet. We started this episode, and I don't know which side of the fence I sit on because I'm a little nervous. If their identity is running the ball, which they don't do a great job of, but they have 3 running backs that average over 4 yards a carry. So if they get going, hey, there's something we gotta worry about. So I don't know which way I'm going right now, but we'll get to that in a second. Other than that, coaching staff, do they come out, like you mentioned, do they come out and play hard for their coach in his last game? I would hope so. I want to play against the best. I want to get we usually get everybody's best, and this is a rivalry game. These schools do not like each other. So there's reason to believe that the Aztec football team is going to come out and demand we play them tough because they're going to be yapping all night. There's going to be some physicality in this game. I can guarantee it. So, and I look forward to that. The Bulldogs thrive in that kind of environment.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the Fresno State team needs to bounce back, and that's a huge question mark. The team's banged up, a lot of injuries on the offensive line. How are they going to be able to handle a decent pass rush from San Diego State? I know that Mateo mentioned that their run stopping wasn't really that great this year, so I think that's great. Good opportunity for Malik Sherrod to have a bounce back game, and I think that's going to be really crucial for this Fresno State offense. But yeah, rivalry game. The players on both sides are going to want to win this, especially because it's a rivalry game. So, lot to play for, and Fresno State still has a chance of notching another 10-win season. They need to win this one and win the bowl game. So that's definitely still something to play for, I think, for this team. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Before we jump into our keys to the game, Caleb and I have to thank a couple of our supporters. Big shout out to Eastie's Wood Shop. Eastie's Wood Shop, you have to check them out before the holiday season because they have a lot of cool stuff on their website. Head over to shopew.store. They do custom woodworking. They do things for your home. They etch in glass and metal and a lot of different things. So you have any ideas? Go over to shopew.store and send them a message, and they will help bring your idea to life. And you can also see their line of personalized gifts for this upcoming holiday season. Once you do that, use code BEWARE for 15% off your first purchase. That website again is shopew.store. Use code BEWARE for 15% off your first purchase. We'd also like to thank Flora Flower Co. Flora Flower Co. has been a longtime supporter of Beware Bulldogs podcast. They are a flower shop located on Shepherd and Willow. They're open Mondays and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And not only do they have flowers, but they have gifts for the whole family there. For example, they have gifts for babies. They have the mugs that are very common. You'll see with the married women, the younger married women. They have those what are they called? They're mugs though, and they have a lot of those. But they mainly do flowers, and you can head into their shop, and a florist will be there to help you create something special. You can use code Fresno15 in store or online for 15% off. That's Fresno, the number 15 for 15% off at Flora Flower Co. on Shepherd and Willow. All right, Caleb, let's have a conversation about the keys to the game and what we would like to see from Fresno State in order to win this game. Why don't you start us off? What do you think we need to do?
Well, I think this one will sound pretty obvious to Bulldog fans, but Fresno State defense needs to figure out how to stop the running game. Looking at what San Diego State can do. They play a lot of multiple running back formation, similar to what UNLV does, and so if they're able to just control the line of scrimmage and run the ball, I think that will definitely get San Diego State closer to a second conference victory. So, key to the game, Fresno State has to figure out how to stop the run. I think Maiden is not going to beat us throwing the ball. I think he's Taylon Green, but the worst thrower. And so, I mean, we need to just put 7, 8 guys in the box, like literally sell out for the run. Let the corners play 1-on-1, like make them tempt them to throw the ball. I think that really has to be where Fresno State is.
So one of the areas that I've wanted Fresno State to dominate in, and that is stopping the run. We have to. And if they are not good at throwing the ball downfield, like I would say New Mexico, if they're going to beat us, they have to beat us that way. And we just don't tempt teams to do that. Let's put 7, 8 guys in the box and force them to beat us over the top. And if we have to play one-on-one coverage on the outside, that's fine. We know they're going to target Alzillian. He can go make those plays. We've seen him make big plays before. So force them to beat you that way. Maiden is their leading rusher, so he's carried the ball, I believe, 114 times on the season. He's carried the ball about 30 times more than their next guy in the statistical department. So you're going to get a heavy dose of Maiden on the ground, and I like I mentioned before, I don't do a whole lot. I just want to be honest. I don't do a whole lot of watching San Diego State throughout the season, so I don't know if they're doing a lot of option stuff, like if it's RPO stuff, because their leading catcher is their reception is their tight end. He leads the team in receptions, I should say. And so, I'm not exactly sure how they run their offense, but it's not the same San Diego State team that we've seen in the past. They don't dominate on the ground, and if they are, it's because Maiden is being a threat there, and not through the air. So I think you're 100% right. We have to stop San Diego State on the ground, and especially what we've seen over the past 2 weeks. It's going to be big going into a bowl game that we build that confidence back for the bowl game and for going into going into next year. Not much more we can say, because it's been bad on the ground defensively. We haven't done that, and we've given up a lot of points just in general.
Yeah,
so
definitely. And I think looking at the skill players for the Aztecs, they don't really have wide receivers that are jumping off the screen or jumping off the stat page. So you really just have to sell out the run in this game. I think for Fresno State offensively, right? Exactly. Yeah. I mean, he was a guy that just for 4, 5 straight years was always a threat, a really good player on the outside, and he's gone now, and they don't really have a dominant wide receiver go-to now. So that is lining up well for Fresno State to not have to worry about it, but it also is setting up someone to maybe have a career game if Maiden is able to figure out how to throw it. So looking at Fresno State on offense here, like a simple key to the game is just getting first downs. We mentioned it in the recap that in the last game, Fresno State, I think, had 7 or 8 straight 3-and-outs, and that is unacceptable. Just in terms of controlling the time of possession and field position too. Like, Fresno State has to be able to get some first downs, sustain some drives. Like, they don't have to score on every drive, but just to be able to build some momentum, string some plays together where we're having success is going to be important. So, I mean, we've seen the first couple drives of most games Fresno State has done well. So whether that's just scripted plays, McCann's really good at kind of planning out those first 12 or 15 plays, but beyond that, the wheels kind of fall off. So I think this is a big game, big opportunity for Coach McCann on the offense to figure out how to put some quality plays together in a row and get some first downs. So it kind of seems like we're talking JV stuff here with getting first downs. But at this point, coming off of 2 losses, I think we kind of just need to go back to basics. And this San Diego State team is not good. And so as long as Fresno State plays a B game, they should be able to win.
I agree. And I would really like to see Coach McCann stick to his word. He mentioned in the press conference, he's not running the ball enough. He hasn't done a good job, and he apologized for that. I would love to see, and it may not work, but I'd love to see us run the ball on a 2nd and 4 or a 3rd and 2 or a 3rd and 3. Let's go out there and run the ball, because I think it hurts our defense. I'll rephrase that. It does. It hurts our defense when we go 3 and out 7 times in a row. Now our defense is exhausted, and the other team is able to just run, play after play after play. 4 yards, 7 yards, 12 yards, 5 yards. You get the gist of it. And it's not good for our defense. We need to keep them off the field. So if we can run the ball effectively, and that's if McCann is calling those run plays, because he hasn't been in the past, but he said he was going to. So I want him to, my key is for him to stick to his word and do that. And then if it's effective or not, we can adjust from there. I'm interested in Coach McCann going down and calling a game from the field. I wonder what that would be like. I know a lot of OCs are not on the field. They're up in the booth because it's easier to see. But what I appreciate about OCs or a head coach that's calling plays, that's, guys that are calling plays that are on the field, is that you get the feel for the game. Now, the baseball guys know what I'm talking about, because the baseball guys hate this analytics stuff. I know you do. I'm with you. But there's a feel to it. And when you're not feeling that, when those things are going on, you're not feeling that in the booth. And so that's what I appreciate about guys on the field calling plays. I know there's a difference. I know you can see different things up in the booth, but you got to be able to feel the game. And especially for a first year OC, I think that's really important. So if we can get McCann out in the field, this is the last game. I think there's a little pressure because it's a rivalry game, but I don't think there's too much pressure because we've blown it the last 2 games, and we're not playing for Mountain West Championship anymore. Let's go out there and get better as a program. And I think 1, that would help the coaching staff. 2, I think what else is going to help us get better is that this coaching staff throughout the week is firing up the team. This is not a championship game to play for. There is a trophy. So can the coaching staff figure out how to fire up this team and, get them playing with, 100% effort and get their attitude in the right place? Because those are the controllables, and you have to be able to control those. So attitude and effort, and that reflects leadership, Captain. So we need to do that at the coaching level, in my opinion. I think that's a huge key to this game. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And I think this will be a good indicator of, the caliber of this coaching staff, if they're able to get their players up for maybe a game that doesn't seem as meaningful to them, but maybe, compared to the beginning of the season. So, another thing I'm looking at too is just like simple stats. The last 2 games Fresno State has lost, passing yards were 137 and 115. So, how is the passing game able to bounce back too? I agree with you that McCann, I would love to see just stick to the ground game and call, plenty of running plays. But I think, likely having Mikey back this week should change the passing game. So I think that's another, aspect that we can discuss too, is, getting, a couple guys back from injury, hopefully. But I think that there has to be some balance there where there is a threat to pass the ball. And I do think that as long as Mikey can, pass for a reasonable, like 200 plus yards, I think that'll put Fresno State in a position to score more points.
Yeah. And sorry, by no means when I say talk about running, I don't want us to, hyper focus on running. I don't want us to do that. If we can't run the ball, if we can't do that, then why do it? That's just beating a dead horse. But But if it's 2nd and 3 and we've been able to move, if it's 2nd and 3, you should be able to run for 2 yards. You
Agreed.
should be able to gain a yard. That's my opinion. So those positions, I think you run the ball or in the red zone, you run the ball rather than going to these passing downs. But I 100% agree with you. And also, I'm really curious to see what offensive line goes out there.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be changes from what I hear. Who knows? We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, last week we saw a lot of Kingsley Ugwu, who has been buried at third string left tackle, and all of a sudden he's getting a start, which is not a good sign when someone that deep in the depth chart is getting a start. So I think that some of the O-line is getting a little healthier. I think I don't even know who let me get to the too deep here. Left tackle, Penwright. That's right. So I think we're seeing that Penwright is making some steps to possibly play on Saturday, which I think is good for Fresno State to hopefully have a little bit more strength back in the O-line. But yeah, you're right. That's a big question mark with who's going to be able to play, and are they going to be able to do enough to let the offense operate?
Right. And that is our offense. If the O-line can perform, then we'll be successful in whatever we want to do, especially against a team like this. But if not, it could be another New Mexico where we can't throw or run, and that's when the coaches are really going to have to step up and find ways to make things happen. The other thing, switching over to defense real quick, Caleb, Maiden's been sacked 19 times this year. I'm sure a couple of those have been trying to get outside the pocket and do some things and getting hit. But I really, all year we've been talking about D-line and we want to see pressure, but I really want to see Devo Bridges get a sack, I guess.
Yeah. do something.
Yeah. I don't remember the last time I heard his name called in our stadium or over the television, it's been a long time. I'd like to see Devo take that next step, dominate in the trenches, because I know he can, and we just haven't had any pressure. And if we allow Maiden to do his thing back there, it's not going to work out right. So we have to put pressure on Maiden. We've talked about him struggling as a passer. If you have a guy that can't throw the ball and you put a guy in his face, you're going to win the game most of the time. We watched it happening against Talon Green. So, we have to do those things, and it starts in the trenches.
Yeah, Devo and Isaiah Johnson need to be able to make something happen on the edge. And Johnson, 6-year senior, this is it for him. He's only got 2 games left, so I would expect him to give a full effort here and really make the most of his college football career.
Yeah. Okay. Last thing, do you think the team gets up for this game and gets fired up and going? And then after that, tell us about some of our supporters that helped the show out.
I think that it's going to help that this is a rivalry game, and we know that there's some animosity between Fresno State and San Diego State. So I think that helps here with adding a little bit more importance for this game for the team. So I'm sure that the guys are going to be talking before, during, and after the game. And so I do think that the players are going to get up for it. We know that the senior leaders on this team, Magdalena, Lavelle Bailey, Eric Brooks, those guys care. I think I mentioned it last game. I mean, Eric Brooks was one of the last guys to leave the field after the last loss. He cares. And so I think that those guys, among others, are going to be the vocal leaders that are going to get this team up. So I do think that the spirits are going to be high enough for Fresno State, and the energy is going to be there. If it's not there, then this team is in trouble, and I think San Diego State could come out with a victory. But I do think that our senior leadership and the rivalry week is going to help Fresno State in that regard.
I agree. I think there's no doubt that the leaders on this team are going to get them fired up, and so will the coaches. Tedford knows how to do it. I think we're going to be good there.
I agree. All right, let's thank a couple sponsors first. I want to thank Manage X for their support throughout this football season. So they're a full-service property management company in the Fresno and Clovis area, and they service single-family homes, small multifamily properties, office and industrial as well. And so they're a full-service property management company. So if you're in need of property management services, you can check out their website, managex.net. They're been in Fresno since 1978, and they are big supporters of Fresno State and Beware Bulldogs. So we thank them for their support. And if you're needing property management services, go ahead and check out that website. And let's see. Who else do we have? All right, go ahead.
That's let's keep going, Caleb, and then we'll get back to it. I wasn't ready. Sorry, I was checking Twitter and the score of the basketball game, and so sorry. It's not looking any better for the basketball team. It's just going bad on all levels here. So yeah, we're down by 30.
Okay.
So yeah, and then I got to fix some things on Twitter, but let's talk about this.
As an expert on sweat and sweating, I may as well be a sweat scientist.
What is going to make us sweat on Saturday? I think we talked about it a little bit, but let's break it down to what exactly you're worried about on Saturday. And then we'll get to the positive, by the way. Don't worry. We're going to get to positive and what's going to make us dance. But first, let's start with what's going to make us sweat.
So I'm going to sweat if San Diego State comes out with a strong rushing attack, maybe pulls a Michigan where they run 30 rushing plays in a row. And if Fresno State's not able to stop it, then I'll be sweating early, and it's going to be a long game for Fresno State. So we've we're beating this horse to the ground, but at this point, that is the huge weakness on this defense. And if San Diego State is able to put competent rushing attack together, I will be sweating big time.
I agree. That's what I had written down for this episode. If we can't stop the run, I don't know how much more I can handle, dude. I'll be sweating because I don't want to lose, but also at the same time, it's kind of an expectation now that I have is that they're going to run the ball for 100, 150 yards. I hope that's not the case. We'll shoot not 200 yards now. So hopefully that's not the case, and we're not doing any sweating, and we load the box and stop the run. The other thing that I'll be sweating, the other reason I'll be sweating is if we are turning over the ball offensively. Quarterbacks are throwing interceptions, or we are being pressured. Quarterbacks are under pressure and forcing things or getting hit, tip balls at the line, and there's interceptions being caused at the line of scrimmage. So that's the other reason, and that would be based off of our O-line play. So there's a couple things there, offensively and defensively, that will make me sweat. Hopefully this team is recovered enough to where that doesn't happen, and they come out with fire against a rival where we're not worried about that. We shouldn't have to do much sweating this game, but I said that last time against New Mexico. We will see. I don't think that our team wants to be dominated at the line of scrimmage like they were last week, and so they're going to step up big time. I mean, this is on them now. They don't want that reputation. Our defense does not want that reputation. They're going to have to step up big time and play good defense, run defense especially. So, and then same with the O-line. So, battle of the trenches this week, and if they don't perform well, I will be sweating.
Definitely. So, quick follow-up on turning the ball over. I think both you and I are expecting Mikey Keene to start on Saturday. Obviously, he made an appearance at the end of the New Mexico game, so it seems like he's probably healthy enough, and he's been practicing this week. So we assume QB1 is going to get the start. But down the stretch here, not as crisp as maybe at the beginning of the season. We've seen a couple more interceptions lately, and maybe a little less like careful with the ball. So, I mean, how are you feeling going into this game? Like, is Mikey going to take care of the ball, or are we still concerned? Is he able to make the right read, or does the defense know what's coming? Like the San Jose State game.
Yeah, I mean, it's, they tell you, learn from your history. And they also say when someone tells you who they are, you should listen to them and believe them. And we've kind of seen the same thing over and over and over again this year. We've seen short intermediate passing game where it's one read, two read, get rid of it. Or it's one read, check down. And so I don't know. I can't give you a definitive answer on what to if you can expect anything else from our quarterbacks and from the offensive play scheme. So I can't really say that we're going to tighten things up or we're not going to force things into double, triple coverage, especially if we're under pressure, because that's what we've done all season long. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Like you, I don't really know how to project it. I think that Mikey's obviously dealing with hurt ankle, hurt knee, hurt head. All of that combined is not making it easier for him to be quarterback. So I am concerned that he's not maybe going to make all the best decisions in this game. But I do think he's probably going to be a little bit more careful with the ball than Logan. Logan is a little bit more of a gunslinger. And so I think it should be okay. But if Mikey throws 2 picks, I think that could easily be a San Diego State victory. If it's, 1 or less, I think that Fresno State will be okay.
Yeah. And Mateo talked about their 3-3-5 defense, how they've struggled to stop the run. We played against the 3-3-5 defense last week and did not go well at all. But if they've struggled to stop the run and we run the ball well, that's going to help Mikey out a ton. 1, he's not going to get hit as much. 2, play action is going to be so much better for us. It's going to open up so many things. We have lots of different threats. So I think by running the ball effectively, it opens up the game tremendously for our offense. And speaking of positive things happening, everybody dance now. Okay, well, what needs to happen on Saturday that's going to make you dance?
All right, I'm going special teams here. Mateo kind of inspired me for this. Everybody dance now, bringing up 2013, Derek Carr's year. Season was kind of in the balance in terms of whether it's going to be a perfect season or not. And Fresno State gets a blocked field goal at the end of the game to push it into overtime. Fresno State ends up winning. So if Fresno State blocks a field goal, I will dance. Our caveat on this, obviously, is Fresno State has to win the game for us to dance. We don't dance for losses. So blocked field goal, and if Dogs win, I'm dancing.
I can get behind that. I'm going with Dogs win. And then I'd love to see our quarterbacks have whoever's in. I presume it to be Mikey Keene. Have a perfect game. So perfect as in no turnovers. So no fumbles, no interceptions. And I'd love to see the defense hold the San Diego State offense under 300 yards of offense. I mean that might be a low number from the past games we've had. But I don't think this offense is that great. If you're going to make someone beat you, make it be someone else other than Maiden. So keep him in front of us. And I think if he rushes for 40 yards or so, 50 yards, I think it's very doable that we hold this team to under 300 yards because they're not that good. Plus Devo is going to get sacks, and that's going to count against them and things like that. So if we hold them under 300 yards offense, I mean, I think that's an automatic win. And even if that doesn't happen and their quarterbacks protect the ball, I think we win the game as well. There's no reason to think not. But the hard part is that we've turned the ball over almost every game. We're due for an interception. I don't believe last week we had an interception.
Yeah, we did. We had Lavelle had his that then he
That's
fumbled, and then Dean also picked one off. So Dogs actually had 2 picks last week, but we're not able to convert that into a victory.
Right. I guess you could count Lavelle's fumble as a turnover, but I won't. Our quarterbacks didn't turn over the ball. So I'd like to see that happen. And just speaking about positive things too, I would love to see Malik. And I know this is a big ask, but run for over 100 yards. We've talked about it the past 2 games. When Malik runs for over 70 yards, we win the game. Malik is our biggest threat offensively, in my opinion. That Boise game, he was huge. He's very shifty. He's quick. He can make good things happen. We need Malik to touch the ball. We need Eric Brooks to touch the ball. And last but not least, I would love to see a Trey Watson touchdown.
Oh yeah. And not unlike a Jalen Gill trick play too. Like I want it to be just a normal football play where the quarterback's throwing it to the tight end.
I would love to see even Jake Boust getting a touchdown. He scored one earlier in the year, and then I haven't heard Jake Boust's name all year. I see him occasionally. I'd love to see us in the red zone after we've ran the ball effectively multiple times. Mikey, get under center, run a play action, roll out, and hit one of our tight ends running on the back line of the end zone or right in the front of the end zone and just fall in. That would be great. I would love to see that. So, I mean, I just listed a bunch of things that I'll do. I'm not going to dance on all of those, by the way, but I would love to see all those things happen. Let's just pile on the good things. I mean, it's Thanksgiving. I'd love to be thankful throughout the week and going into the Christmas season for Bulldog football and a Trey Watson touchdown. Trey Watson, target the man, target Trey Watson. So we started to see it last week a little bit. All right, we need to talk about weather in San Diego. I can only guess how miserable it's going to be in San Diego. TV spread over under, get to our final score predictions. But first, I want to talk to you about Givoli Winery. The football season is coming to a close. The holiday seasons are here. And along with Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's comes wine. And Givoli Winery has all that wine for you. They're located in the small town of Biola. You blink and you miss it. On Biola Avenue, just north of Shaw. They're open Saturdays and Sundays, noon to 5. Or you can head to givoliwinery.com to get some wine. Givoli is spelled Ziveli, givoliwinery.com. But you go in person Saturdays and Sundays, noon to 5, or by appointment only on the weekdays. You get some wine tastings. On the weekends, you have a brick oven wood fire pizza and good quality time with people you love and good quality wine. And the family there is fun and would love to have you out. So check out Givoli Winery, big supporters of Boyer Bulldogs podcast. We also would love to thank the Vine Church in Fresno. The Vine Church in Fresno meets on Sundays at 10 a.m. They're located on Shaw, just west of Grantland. So if you're looking for, maybe you go to church on Christmas, Easter, and if you're looking for a church, come on out. Sundays, 10 a.m., Shaw, just west of Grantland. They also have prayer nights if you're interested. If you want more information, shoot a text at me or on a DM. I attend there. I'd be glad to get you in touch with people there. The people are kind, welcoming, and the pastor speaks biblical truth. So if you're looking to strengthen your community, find a support group, head over to the Vine Church on Shaw, just west of Grantland. Okay, Kale, how is Saturday looking in San Diego?
It should be a very nice day in San Diego. It should be clear, game time, we're about 60 degrees. So weather should not be a factor for this game. Should be very pleasant. But there is a lot on the line here. The old oil can is up for grabs here. 7:30 kickoff on Fox Sports 1 for TV. Local guy, Guy Haberman, on the call for play-by-play for Fox Sports 1. So I know he cut his teeth here in Fresno. And then also on the radio, Bulldog Sports Network with Paul, Pat, and Cam. So those are the media options here. In terms of the numbers, Fresno State is favored by 5 points. Over under right now is at 46.5. So I think that Vegas is catching up a little bit, like you had mentioned before. And yeah, 5 is not a big number when you're looking at a 3-8 team versus an 8-3 team. Usually that would be a bigger number, but that's where we are. And Fresno State has not really shown that they deserve to be favored by more than that. So a lot on the line here. How do you think this game is going to go?
Oh man. It's so tough, man. I don't know where to go still. I think I'm going to go with the under. You said it's what did you say 55?
46.5.
46.5. See, I just tells you how yeah, I think I'm going to have to go with the under here. I don't think that I think Fresno State wins. Oh man, I'm going to go 28-6.
Beat down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's move it 24-6. 24-6.
True. Fresno State, the last 2 games, they haven't cracked 20 points. So is the offense able to step it up? That's a big question. So looking at this game, I'm hoping that Fresno State will not need some special teams heroics at the end of the game. Last season against San Diego State at home was one of the craziest comebacks I've witnessed in person for sure. And I was there. Me and maybe 5,000 other people actually stayed for the end of that game. So I don't think it's going to come down to that. I do think that this one's going to be lower scoring. I'm just not convinced that Fresno State offense is going to put all the pieces together, and I will gladly be wrong on that. I do think Fresno State's going to win this game. I'm going under on the point total. I think Fresno State only wins by a field goal. So I have Fresno State 20, San Diego State 17 as my total for this one. So I do think it's going to be close. The Dogs just haven't shown the ability to pull away lately. And so I think that it's going to be close, and the Aztecs are going to hang around, and Fresno State is going to squeak by.
So food for thought for you guys. San Diego State is giving up 27.5 points per game. So I had to move it down to 24. That's their points per game, average. So I got to move it below. That's why I did it. But they're giving up 412, 413 yards a game. So I'm really hoping this offense is able to move the ball efficiently this Saturday. So, and yeah, Fresno State, I mentioned the 300 yards total offense. We are giving up 382 yards of offense game. So doable against the poor offense in San Diego State. So, all right, we will be keeping track of that. Other than that, Caleb, I don't have much more to say other than we will. I hope you enjoy your Thanksgiving. We will have recaps for the bowl game, and we will be previewing the bowl game as well. So don't go anywhere. I did hear though, Caleb, that there's a possibility that Fresno State doesn't get chosen for a bowl game because the because there's only like 4 Mountain West bowl games. I don't believe that at all, because someone is going to want an 8-9 win team in a bowl game with Fresno. That is a fan base that travels. I think that's ridiculous that Fresno State doesn't get into a bowl game. But I overheard that there's only 4 bowl games for Mountain West, and that we're on the chopping block there. But there's no way, right? No way.
Yeah, well, you're breaking news to me right here. That seems kind of crazy, but I'll look on the bright side here. Fresno State has had several opportunities to play in the Potato Bowl or the New Mexico Bowl, or God forbid the Hawaii Bowl. That maybe a new venue or bowl game. I think that would be welcome. Like if we get to go to Alamo Bowl or something different. I think that would be nice. So that way it's not a venue that the Dogs already go to every year.
I agree. I would actually, and that's the exact same thing that I was going to say, is I would prefer us to not go to the Idaho or Hawaii or New Mexico. I would love to go somewhere else. So we'll see what happens. The Dogs will be bowling. I guarantee that. There's no way that they would ever be left out. We will have our live. We'll be covering the bowl game, and then we'll move into basketball season after this, and we will have a season recap as well for football season. So stay with us. We will be doing live streams continuing throughout the school year. Also, we need to give a congratulations to the women's volleyball team who won in the quarterfinals. They beat Boise 3-0, swept them. That's right, Boise, and are moving on to the semifinals. And I believe they play Utah State in the semifinals. So if you're not keeping up with women's volleyball, go check them out. They're making a run in the Mountain West tournament right now, women's volleyball. And then, of course, women's basketball had a big win. I don't know if it was a big win, but it was a big win. And I think they scored a bunch of points on the team that they just beat. I don't remember. Was it Long Beach, I believe? So they had a win there. So other than that, Caleb, I got nothing else for you.
It's the last regular season game of the season. This season has flown by, but it's been a ton of fun. Win or lose, it's a blast. So, thank you to all our fans. I feel like we gained a lot of new listeners and subscribers this season. So we definitely appreciate you guys, and we're not going anywhere. We have a blast doing this, but thank you for interacting with us, because it does make it more fun.
Yes. If you are only Fresno State football fans, because I know there's some of you out there, I challenge you to stick around this season after the bowl game and get to know the basketball team as we cover basketball. And baseball is very fun. If you are not into baseball, Fresno State baseball is where it's at. So I challenge you guys, stick around and get to know the Fresno State athletics a little more and expand outside of football season. That's my challenge to the Red Wave football fans this year. All right, everyone, have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Stay safe, stay healthy. God bless you guys. And as always, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.